All right, so you overate. Now what? After overeating, you can't change what you did already. You can't change the past. But what you do have control of and what you do have the power to do is choose what you're eating for your next meal. Hi, I'm Meg. Welcome to plantfitmeg. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm an online health and fitness coach. And on this channel, I share easy plant-based recipes, healthy lifestyle tips, and empower you to get healthier, move your body, stress less, and enjoy life. My goal really is to be the resource that I would have wanted back when I started changing my lifestyle and my diet. So here we are. Today, I want to talk about overeating, and we've all been there, we've all done it, some of us more than others, I'm sure. I definitely was someone who overate a lot in the past and can definitely relate to overeating, and still to this day, occasionally will find myself overeating. And that's okay. We're all human and it happens. In this video, I want to share my best strategies for what to do after you overeat, what not to do after overeating, and also how to prevent it in the future and how to minimize the risk of it happening again, particularly if it's something that you're really in the habit of doing very often and very regularly, and it's a habit and sort of a pattern. Let's chat about how to break that habit, break that pattern, and start a new routine and a new pattern and new habits that will have you eating a good amount that makes you feel good, that has you fueled and ready to go without feeling like you've overeaten and overdone it. All right, so you overate, now what? The first thing to do is breathe. It's okay. It might feel really uncomfortable. You might not be feeling your best. You might be disappointed in yourself, and physically and emotionally, it can present challenges after you've overeaten. That's okay. That's human to feel those feelings. The important thing is not to dwell in it and get really stuck in it. Overeating during one meal or even over the course of a day or a weekend will not destroy your progress. I know we get into this all or nothing thinking, which I will touch on a little bit later as well, but we really need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture and consider how many days are there in a week? How many meals are there and instances of eating are there in a week? And if we're only overeating once or twice and it's not a regular pattern, it won't dramatically affect your weight loss or your health goals. The best thing we can do is be accountable to ourselves, give ourselves grace at the same time, and move forward with the other strategies in this video to help us out. The next thing to remember is to not get into that all or nothing mentality. When we overeat, it's so easy to get into this black and white, good and bad, all or nothing thinking. And on one side of the coin, it can feel like, okay, well, I've already screwed up. I already messed this up. My diet is ruined. My health is ruined. F it, I'm just gonna eat all the things and just abandon my goals, abandon the progress that I've already made, and just eat everything and go all in that way. And in the other direction, on the other side of the coin, we can get into really restrictive behaviors where we beat ourselves up, we feel bad about overeating, we seek to kind of make up the difference for the calorie intake and end up restricting ourselves too much and undereating, which can fuel this restriction and then overeating cycle that can happen, which also doesn't feel good and doesn't work. In both instances, you're going to be unhappy, you're going to feel more stressed and more friction, and the best way forward is to find that balance point in between where we're not digging into all the treats and all the things and just overdoing it for the next month or so. This is particularly true during the holiday season when maybe like Halloween sort of starts things off or Thanksgiving sort of starts us off, and then we just kind of let everything go for a while. The goal is to really find that happy medium, and not that it'll be perfect all the time and that we can live there 100% of the time where our foods and meals are completely balanced and perfectly portioned and ideal 100% of the time, but living in that spectrum of fueling ourselves, feeling good, eating food that makes us feel great and gives us the energy to do what we want to do without leaning into overdoing it and without being on the restrictive side of things either. So you might be thinking, well, this is all fine and well, Meg, all or nothing mentality. I get it. I've heard it before, but how? How do we actually do this? So I'll start with some practical tips and more action-based things that you can do immediately after overeating, and then we'll get into a little bit more of the mental side of things as well, and sort of some reflections and considerations too. So after you've overeaten, one of the first best things you can do for yourself is drink water. And I don't mean sit there and like chug tons of water and try to really like flush everything out or clear everything out or anything like that. I just mean have sips of water, stay hydrated. It will help things kind of move a little bit, and it'll make you feel a little bit better in the moment. Avoiding alcohol and or fizzy drinks can also be helpful, because after we've overeaten, often we feel like kind of sluggish and kind of bloated and uncomfortable. So keeping it at just water, keeping it pretty tame with the beverages can be helpful after we've overeaten. Another great thing to do after we've overeaten is some sort of gentle movement. Usually just going for a walk, going for a short walk can be nice. It can get us out of that environment that we were in while we were overeating. It can also help with our digestion, and it can also kind of clear our heads and kind of give us a moment of reflection and a little bit of time to consider what our next steps are and what we're going to do next. And it can also be a break from the food environment and a break from being overstimulated or having a lot going on, especially like in a party situation or an event or holiday kind of situation. It can be nice to just take a little step away, breathe, have a little walk, have a little gentle movement. Again, it'll get things moving, get your digestion going a little bit, and can help to clear your head and just make you feel a little bit calmer and a little bit better about the situation. Another great thing to do if we have overeaten and it's a situation where there are a lot of leftover foods around, like I said, if it's a party, an event, a holiday situation, give the leftovers away. Don't keep leftovers around that you know are just going to occupy so much mental space and mental energy and create that additional food noise that you just don't need in your life. If you know it's going to create problems for you, give those foods away, give those leftovers away. And if nobody wants to take them, then you can split them up and divvy them up into single serve portions and keep that in your fridge or your freezer, so that if you do want to indulge in something a little bit more calorie dense or a little bit more of a treat, then you have it on hand, but it's not necessarily something that's like staring you in the face that you might end up sort of picking at throughout your day or throughout the couple of days that the leftovers are sitting there, thinking, when you sometimes get into that cycle. I know this happened to me so much in the past, that you're thinking about the food and like, it's in the fridge and you almost like visit it, like you open the fridge and close it. And it's sort of that will I, won't I decision making situation. And it's kind of stressful because you kind of want the thing, but you don't really want the thing because your goals don't align with eating it again and eating more and more and more of it and getting into that pattern. So it's kind of like this internal fight with yourself. And oftentimes we lose that fight, right? Eventually we dig into the thing. So it's wonderful if we can work our way towards being in a situation where we can have those foods in our house, not experience that dramatic food noise, not be visiting the fridge and visiting the kitchen and sort of picking at things and stuff like that. But I'd say it's an advanced move, right? If you're in the beginning of your weight loss journey, if you're sort of just getting started out with living a healthier lifestyle and eating more whole foods and eating, more healthfully and taking care of yourself in a different way, it takes time to build those habits and flex those muscles. So be kind to yourself and kind of have an awareness of what sort of where you are on the spectrum in terms of like what you can handle and what you can manage. And there can be some trial and error here in figuring that out, and, experiment with it, see what works well for you, and then go forward with what you know is going to work best for you. After overeating, you can't change what you did already. You can't change the past, but what you do have control of and what you do have the power to do is choose what you're eating for your next meal. So focus on choosing whole foods, focusing mostly on whole foods, getting in your veggies, getting in your fruit, eating the rainbow, eating things that are going to fuel you and make you feel really good, getting your protein in, and eating a balanced plate. Eating in this way can really reset your taste buds and make you feel full and satisfied and allow you to have that moment of overeating or that moment of indulging and letting it go and it being okay with it and just moving on and moving forward and really honing in and really paying attention to those hunger and fullness cues. I know in the past I had a hard time figuring out my hunger and fullness cues because I think I had just ignored them for so long that I had a really hard time sort of figuring out what hunger truly felt like and what fullness, like a good amount of fullness and not overeating, but like a satisfied, like comfortable fullness where I wouldn't be hungry 30 minutes later and I wouldn't feel overstuffed either. And so it can take some time to figure out that hunger and fullness thing. And you'd think it'd be pretty basic and pretty easy and like common sense. But for some of us, when we've sort of messed with our hunger and fullness cues for a long time, it can be sort of confusing to get back into honing in on it and paying attention to it. And that's the best thing you can do is really bring awareness to it, really consider how you're feeling and what does hunger feel like to you and what does fullness feel like and how does overeating and feeling too stuffed and having too much food in you feel, and sort of gauging that and figuring that out as you go. Doing your best to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full and carry forward with your whole foods and cycle through that way. The other factor here is eating mindfully. Sometimes we're just in a rush, we're in a hurry, and we just eat really fast, and it's like you forget what you ate or you're eating so mindlessly that you almost eat a meal without even recognizing that you've eaten a full meal. You look down at the plate, it's empty, and it's like, where did the food go? And it went into your body, you were eating it, but just eating in that mindless way can kind of mess with our satisfaction and with our satiety. So while we're eating, slowing down a little bit. I know it's not always possible, it's not always doable, but the more that you can, just slow down and really pay attention to the texture of the food, the flavor, the color, the aroma, and just like treating meals and treating food as like an experience and as something to really enjoy and appreciate, and paying attention to all these little things and eating in a way that's not distracted as well, avoiding, watching TV or YouTube or other things while you're eating. Another great thing to do after we've overeaten, not immediately after we've overeaten, because that can just be too much on our systems, but maybe if it was an early in the day situation and maybe in the evening, or if it was an evening overeat and then in the morning or the next day at some point, exercise, move your body. And it's not this punishing, like get into the gym and like be really hard on yourself and, oh, I've got to work off the calories and this and that. I've had fitness instructors say that, and I just find it really annoying and really frustrating because it's like, I'm not there to work off my food. Like, I'm there to feel better. I'm there to feel stronger. I'm there to build muscle and improve my mood and like all these other factors. So I'd say get back into your typical exercise routine if you already have one. Maybe take it a little bit easy if you're not feeling your best, but get your body moving. It has so many wonderful benefits and it's great for your health. So it can really help you feel better and feel stronger and feel empowered and improve your mood. And there's just so many wonderful things that happen with exercise. So finding some form of joyful movement, I would say, is helpful. So you've overeaten, you've implemented all of these strategies to help you feel a little bit better after overeating. And then now what in terms of planning for next time, especially if it is a holiday situation or an event or something like that. We don't just have one event in our lives, one party and then no more parties, no more adventures adventures. So it's really important to plan for the next time around. And as I mentioned before, really checking in to how you feel after you've overeaten and what that's like physically and mentally and emotionally, maybe even journaling about it or just writing it down to express your thoughts and feelings around it so that you have something to refer back to the next time around. Also, what worked well for you in the situation and what didn't. Maybe you brought some food with you, but you didn't bring enough. Or maybe you didn't bring any food with you at all and you're thinking, kicking yourself thinking, I should have brought something with me so that I could have managed the food a little bit better. Or maybe you indulged in all the treats and all the snacks and picked up all the things rather than sort of choosing more mindfully about what would be really like the most ideal treat, the most exciting treat, and just kind of sticking with a couple of things rather than like going into all the different choices. I will have a whole video coming soon about how to plan for an event or for a holiday situation, so stay tuned for that for sure. But just in brief here, if you can plan what you're going to eat generally by either talking to the host ahead of time if you're not hosting, or bringing something with you, or making some of these decisions ahead of time can be helpful if possible. Focusing on eating veggies first can be a nice strategy to make sure you're getting that nourishment first and then kind of seeking other things as well when you're not as hungry or as maybe stimulated as when you're, first arrive or something like that. Another thing to consider here with overeating is avoiding overeating is a skill. So like I sort of mentioned earlier, it can seem pretty straightforward to hone in on your hunger and fullness and pay attention to that. But for some of us, it takes time to figure that out. And so for some of us, overeating can be very situational and very just like a one-off, like, it's Thanksgiving or it's the holidays or it's a birthday party or something like that. And they can happen really, really sporadically. And we can sort of turn things around pretty quickly and get moving onto our goals and onto a better path in terms of our health and fitness and all of that. And for others of us, overeating can kind of turn into more of a pattern and more of I overate in this one instance and then I'm going to overeat for the weekend. And then, I'm realizing I really am overeating very often and it's more of like a pattern and more of an issue. And if something is a habit and a pattern and a routine and something that you've done over and over and over and you've practiced basically, if you think about it this way, you've basically practiced overeating and gotten really, really good at it. Gold star, like you're very practiced at overeating and overdoing it, and you know how to do that very, very well. And so it can be a challenge to take a step back from that and to learn how not to overeat and practice that skill of paying attention to hunger, paying attention to fullness, and really choosing foods wisely, choosing foods more carefully and more mindfully can really take some time to figure out. And it's a skill. So I think if you sort of because there can be also a lot of guilt and shame around this too, and particularly for people in larger bodies, people who are overweight or obese and things like that, there can be judgment around it. And like there's other layers onto this as well. So I think taking some of that guilt and shame away in thinking of it as a skill and a muscle to flex and something to develop and work on can really help to just minimize those feelings of guilt or shame around it. It's a pattern you've developed for whatever reason, and now you're working to make different choices, make a change, choose differently, and choose better for yourself and fuel yourself better and feel better overall. So I hope this video was helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you'd like to see on the channel next. Leave me questions for a Q&A in the comment section below. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!